the Princess of Wales has been solemnly awarded an important honorary title. Curiously enough, previously it belonged to her husband Prince William. He, in turn, also received the new honorary status. The other day the Duchess Catherine officially became an honorary colonel of the Irish Guard. Earlier this title was worn by Prince William. He was an honorary colonel for more than 10 years, and the first member of the royal family to hold this position. According to insiders, the Welsh will now inherit the rank of Colonel of the Welsh Guards from Charles III. Meanwhile, Queen Consort Camilla was appointed Colonel of the Grenadier Guards. That position was vacated in January by Prince Andrew, when he lost all his military ranks and royal patronage over the Virginia Giuffre scandal. Earlier, a court source also reported that the Welsh daughter, Princess Charlotte, will be given the title Duchess of Edinburgh, previously held by Elizabeth II, in the future. An insider reported that the title could be transferred to Princess Charlotte to keep it in a direct line of succession. It would be a fitting way to honour the Queen, who certainly held the title of Duchess of Edinburgh, and a way for His Majesty Charles III to honour the line of succession. Charlotte's position is historically important because she is the first female member of the royal family, whose place in the line of succession will not be surpassed by her younger brother. It is therefore constitutionally important that Charlotte be given a title, said an anonymous source in the Mail on Sunday. In addition to news of new military ranks and titles, it was learned that the traditional parade Trooping the Colour will take place on June 17, 2023, 6 weeks after the scheduled coronation of Charles III. More than 1,400 soldiers, 200 horses and 400 musicians will take part in the parade, while the King himself and heir to the throne Prince William will ride on horseback. In his first royal Christmas address, Charles III, with his usual elegance, set all the accents and expressed his attitude to Harry and Meghan. Charles III congratulated the nation on Christmas for the first time as king. And in his speech, he elegantly took revenge on his youngest son and daughter-in-law, about which there was a lot of speculation beforehand, in anticipation of the holidays. In the end, Charles did not mention the Sussexes, which many had bet on. Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan did not show up in any way during the 8-minute speech given by the sovereign, nor in the images shown on the screen during the speech. Many saw it as a response to the grievances of the Sussexes in the series, Harry and Meghan, including claims addressed to His Majesty in his first address to the United Kingdom monarch, remembered warmly his mother and her faith not only in God but also in people, thanked well-wishers for the sympathy shown to him and his wife, and then focused on the work of the current members of the royal family. Among those shown were Queen Camilla, pictured as she gave children toys in the form of Paddington Bear, Prince Edward and Sophie, the Earl and Countess of Wessex, and Princess Anne, who again this year was voted the hardest working member of the royal family, challenging her older brother for the first time in years. In his speech, Charles also mentioned William and Catherine, the Prince and Princess of Wales, when talking about charity in Britain. The theme of aid, solidarity and good neighbourliness proved crucial to the message. Referring to Kate and William's first visit to Swansea since they won new titles after Elizabeth II's death, Charles said, "The Prince and Princess of Wales recently visited Wales, shedding light on practical examples of this community spirit." At this point in the broadcast, excerpts of a visit by senior members of the royal family to St. Thomas Church, a community centre offering a wide range of services and support, including a food bank and children's bank, to the local community, was shown. The central theme of the speech was a celebration of the dedication shown by many people throughout the kingdom during this difficult year, and especially the difficult winter. The life-giving light and true humility underlying our service to others, I believe, will help us believe in the future. Let us cherish and honour it together, Charles concluded his speech before wishing Britons a Merry Christmas and wishing them peace, happiness and everlasting light. Some royal admirers found Charles III's speech an elegant hint at exactly what he values in people, including his loved ones. The new monarch's first ever Christmas broadcast was planned according to the well-established pattern in effect during the reign of Elizabeth II, and included His Majesty's personal reflections on the past year, current issues, and Christian and general cultural reference points. Prince Louis made his debut appearance at Sandringham at Christmas. The little fidget outshone all his titled relatives. The traditional annual service at Sandringham, where the Windsors made their first appearance without Her Majesty, all eyes were on a member of the younger generation of the royal dynasty. We're talking about Prince Louis, who attended his first Christmas service with relatives. At about 11 a.m. on December the 25th, an informal procession from Sandringham House to St. Mary Magdalene Church, led by the King and Queen Consort, drew large numbers of royal fans who greeted the title holders on the festive morning. Following Charles and Camilla were the Welsh. The prince and princess, along with their 3 children, Prince George, co-Lena Charlotte and Prince Louis. For Louis, it was his public debut at Sandringham. In 2019, his older brother and sister took part in the same walk and church service, but his younger brother, who was only 1 at the time, was of course not taken with him. Typically, the Windsors leave the little ones at home until they are old enough to be at public events for long periods of time. Often they become a serious ordeal for the younger generations. The same Prince Louis spawned the loudest meme this summer, showing off his misery at Her Majesty's Platinum Jubilee celebrations. This time, the feisty 4-year-old once again outshone everyone. On his first walk to St. Mary Magdalene Church, he was dressed in shorts with high socks, as aristocratic tradition demands, and a dark blue coat. His older brother and sister repeated their images from the Christmas service at Westminster Abbey. The king was accompanied on the festive day by Queen Consort Camilla, his brother Edward and his wife Sophie of Wessex and their children, Lady Louise Windsor and James, Viscount Severn, the monarch's niece Zara and her husband Mike Tyndall, and their eldest daughter Lena, 2 other nieces. Princess Beatrice and her husband Eduardo Mapelli Mosey and his son Christopher, and Princess Eugenie and her husband Jack Brooksbank. A surprise to many was the appearance of the disgraced Prince Andrew, who accompanied his daughters to the service. This was despite the fact that His Majesty had forbidden the middle brother to work or live at Buckingham Palace. Apparently, there is no talk of restricting access to family events for the disgraced prince yet. Many other royal experts believe that Her Majesty's excessive attachment to her middle son played a fatal role in his formation and destiny. Many of the BCS members suffered from feeling like unwanted children and acutely experienced the lack of attention from parents. Nevertheless, being an overly desirable child is not the best option either. The fate of Prince Andrew is direct proof of this. According to Sarah Bradford, Her Majesty's most astute and informed biographer, the monarch's 3rd child was born against Prince Philip's wishes. Seriously concerned about the environment, he espoused the popular motto of family planning policy that sounded like, "Stop at 2." So, in the Duke of Edinburgh's opinion, 2 children was quite enough. But Elizabeth certainly wanted a 3rd heir. As Prince Charles and Princess Anne grew older, the Queen became pregnant again. The age gap between Prince Andrew, born in 1960, and his sister Anne was 10 years. Such an age gap did not play into the hands of the heir to the crown, who was never close to his siblings. The mother devoted much more time to her 3rd child than she did to her first 2 children, who called the period when their parent was undergoing a transformation from hereditary princess to monarch. He was certainly his mother's favourite, royal biographer Nigel Cawthorne concluded. He was a very willful child. Even Prince Philip called him the boss of the house. I always had the idea that if you grew up outside the palace gates from the time when you were just learning to walk and talk, and constantly people bowing to you, you must get a very strange idea of the world. Because of his status, Andrew was extremely popular with young British women, ready to throw themselves into his arms. Not long ago, a new book about the Duke of York was published, shedding light on his behaviour as a child and young man, in which those who knew him were not stingy with revelations. According to Nigel Cawthorne, author of another work entitled Prince Andrew, Epstein in the Palace, the Queen's middle son, managed to lead a magical life until his infamous Newsnight interview, but the expert always seemed something foreshadowed Andrew's downfall. According to Nigel, immediately after the birth of her 2nd son, Her Majesty wrote to her cousin that the child was fascinating and doomed to be terribly spoiled. As a result, Andrew was never afraid to say the wrong thing, feeling his impunity. Representing the Crown at Port Stanley during the Falklands Armistice, where 255 servicemen were killed, the Prince unexpectedly declared that it was the perfect place to bring your bride for her honeymoon. By a strange coincidence, none of this has stopped Elizabeth from continuing to encourage her child. She is said to have always protected her son, and is still very proud of him. Although the Duke of York was removed from active duty in 2001, he became Rear Admiral in 2010, and promoted even higher in 2015. In 2011, Her Majesty bestowed on her son one of the state's landmark honours, making Andrew a Knight of the Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order. And even when the Jeffrey Epstein sex scandal broke, the Duke of York was not stripped of his titles, only suspended from official duties on behalf of the Crown. According to some sources, Elizabeth always rejoiced at the news that the Duke of York was at Buckingham Palace. She immediately ordered a note to be sent to him, and the son would arrive at his mother's chambers, greeting her with a bow and a kiss on the hand and both cheeks. According to one of the palace staff, it was a little ritual that she adored. Neither the rumours of debts incurred by the Duke and Duchess of York nor new accusations of the Prince's involvement in crimes of a sexual nature changed Andrew's situation, and after the Queen's intervention, he was even allowed to keep his bodyguards, whose services cost £300,000 a year. While Princess Anne and Prince Edward and his wife were cut from government funding for their safety,